Apricot.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in
the Cadieux Cafe.
Many of you bring binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like ML. To me, I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else in the soul of Detroit? Say yeah!
You asked it around, get your question around my shoe. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elrick coming to you live from the east side at the Cadieux Cafe, where we are celebrating St. Patty at the Caddy. We have a great show. Unfortunately, Sean Windsor can't be with us today because he's watching Michigan get beat by Colorado State, and Mark Fellhauer won't be here with us because he's in a fetal position at home watching Michigan get beat by Colorado State. We'll see how that wraps up in the next 20 minutes. But I'm pleased to be here with our name, image, and likeness sponsored athlete, Kalina, who has now shifted full-time into the media. Kalina, thanks for coming out.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, where we're having our live simulcast, you can see the amazing Shamrock cookies she brought for me. They are 0 calories, but 1,000% taste.
Sure, we can go with that one.
Or something like that. There's a lot of stories that get told on St. Patrick's Day that may or may not be true. And we're going to have a whole bunch of guests coming up here today to tell you a little bit about what they're doing. Some great businesses with some great products, including Altus Sportsman. Some people call it Altus. I say just put one in front of me and we'll work it out later. We can fight over different stuff. And we're going to have some people talking about some great fundraisers. And we're also going to have somebody that you've probably seen on Fox 2 way more than I was on Fox 2. Chef Bobby is here. And we have a guy who does a terrific Frank Sinatra show, but he's probably not going to bust in any tunes today because this is a day for the Irish. And if you're not Irish, Bob Conway's here and he'll put a little Irish in you. And his wife, she'll just hold the camera because they're freaky like that. That's the way we do it over here on the east side. So, Kalina, you're cutting class today for this?
Yeah, a little bit. My professor said it was okay. I'm a journalism major. This is journalism, right?
This is experiential learning,
Yeah.
I think they said.
Yeah, that works.
That's like big time for a field trip.
Sure.
So Kalina was recently in Las Vegas, and
Yes.
we were hoping to have her on the show, but the one day that she was actually someplace healthy in a national park, we couldn't get a connection. So she's going to tell us as much about her trip to Las Vegas as she thinks she can get away with her mom sitting here in the audience.
She already heard all of it. She knows.
She's okay with the rest of the world knowing about this.
Yeah.
So what happened in Vegas, you're going to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as exciting as you would think.
Oh, let's bring the Altus beer guy up here then.
It was a lot of fun. My brother's a big hockey guy, and the Vegas Knights is a very new team. So we're like, oh, we're going to go to a Knights game for sure. Not Detroit hockey. Most theatrical hockey game I've ever been to in my entire life. They've had like flappers running around the stadium. They had cheerleaders all over the place. They were projecting things on the ice. Really cool game. If you have a chance and you're in Vegas, go to one.
And did Celine Dion do the national anthem?
No, they had to, well, they were playing Ottawa, so they had to have the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem. I've never been to a hockey game where they did that, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, so I've played in some of those games where they do both anthems, and you can tell when you see the players lined up at center ice, they're getting really anxious because their skates are tied pretty tight and they can't move, so they're starting to get their feet going out. So they want to get going. So the two anthems, the Canadian national anthem is beautiful, but when you want to play hockey, it's like, can we just get to it?
No, but it was a lot of fun. The Knights won. We did a lot of shopping, like on the Strip. Of course, saw a lot of strippers on the Strip. That was, Vegas. But we did a lot of hiking. We drove through Red Rock. We went to Zion. We couldn't do as much of it as we wanted to because like half the park was closed. But we did hiking through Zion, and we went down to Lake Mead and did a kayak tour through Lake Mead. And that was a lot of fun. And we got to go in like some caves. The water was so pretty. And then I ended up actually flying out to New York for a journalism conference. So I was all over the place last year.
So tell us about the gambling. Did you blow the next year's tuition?
I did not. My brother and I placed one bet the whole time, and it was on the hockey game. So we lost $10. But
So you bet on the Knights or against the Knights?
we bet on the Knights, but I don't know. My brother was doing it. I wasn't paying attention. Just let him handle it.
So you went to Vegas. How long were you there?
5 days.
You placed one bet. You went to a lake. You went to a national forest. Where's the debauchery? I mean, you went to Sin City and you didn't sin.
No. All my friends were out in Fort Lauderdale being rambunctious, and I was taking a break.
Maybe we should have had them on. I'm sure what they did in Fort Lauderdale, they shouldn't be telling their parents about.
No. I've heard it all. I don't want to. I'm scared for them. I'm kind of glad I didn't go. That was really scary.
Can you tell us any of those stories, but leave out the names to protect the guilty?
I know a lot of my friends got lost. I don't know how they got home. Ended up, one of my friends was with a bunch of frat boys, and she left all of her friends. Her phone completely died. Had no clue who these boys were. Just went back to their room, charged their phone, and then left.
So she knows what happened to those kids in Aruba, right? I mean, you really don't want to do that. I thought that the whole Fort Lauderdale thing was a very 80s type of thing. Kids are still going to spring break in Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, yeah. The clubs there, the bars there. I'm scared. They start in the morning, get their mimosas, and go all the way till 2:33 in the morning at the clubs. I could never.
So this adventure, attractive young woman alone with a bunch of frat boys, phone is dead, strange place, no masks. How did this end?
She got home. I don't know how, but she got home.
Okay. Unscathed?
Yeah, night before not as much, but I can't tell those stories. I will go to jail.
Okay, so she was a little scathed.
Yeah, a little bit. She made it home though. She's back. She's living her life. So.
Okay. Well, I guess any accident you walk away from isn't a bad one. So, Kalina, if you have been following the podcast, was our name, image, likeness first ever sponsored athlete by the podcast. And because everybody's trying to give millions of dollars to these varsity athletes who are probably going to make millions of dollars later on or get a free car or something like that, who travel on their own jet to games, we wanted to sponsor an athlete in a sport that probably doesn't get as much acclaim and as much notice as it should. And Kalina has transitioned from the women's rowing team to being a member of the media, and not just today, but back in East Lansing. So tell us what's going on at the radio station and what's, last time we talked to you, were trying to line up some ghost hunters for your podcast.
Oh, the ghost hunters never got back to me. I was really upset about that one.
They ghosted you. The ghost hunters ghosted you.
I've had a big issue with people ghosting me. So if you know anyone in the club in East Lansing, please let me know. But this last episode I put out was all about the IZone. And I met with a few alumni. I tried to get in contact with the people who founded the IZone. Mark helped me with that, actually. And then they never responded either. But I still got a good episode out. Me and one of the boys in the sports department just talked about the history of the IZone. We had a couple interviews in there. That episode was really good. I had the MSU telecasters on, and they're really cool. They're one of the longest running telecaster groups in all of college. They've got some sitcoms up and running since the 80s. So.
Yeah. So what is telecasting? It sounds like when you go fishing on your TV.
It's basically just it's like a TV channel. They have a bunch of different shows that they run every week.
And they have long-running comedies. I mean, what sort of things are we talking about? Is this like Days of Our Lives?
They have one that's kind of like John Oliver, where it's kind of like a mockery of news. That one's really funny. They have 5 or 6 different shows. To be honest, I don't know all of them, but they have one that's kind of like SNL. It's a bunch of sketches, and it all runs on YouTube and on Michigan State University's local channel that only runs for the university.
Okay, so check out that. And the IZO. So you got ghosted by the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
You got ghosted by the guy who started the IZone.
Yep.
What's there's a common denominator here. Is it something you're doing? Have you taken some moment for quiet reflection?
I think it's just it's the end of the year. No one wants to do anything anymore. No one's trying to recruit people to their clubs. So I don't know. People just don't look at me in the eye, I guess.
Well, it's, you have a steely gaze. I can see that if they're going to try and run some Blarney, that you're going to shut it down. But I'm kind of fascinated by these Ghostbusters. Do they only work in East Lansing or on campus? I mean, are they available for hire?
I think they literally go anywhere. They do field trips and stuff. They've gone to like haunted locations and like done Ouija boards. They're a cool group.
And are they kids? Are they? I mean, is this
They're
like
students.
Bill Murray and Ghostbusters, where they're scamming the university and running some grants?
No, they're students that I know of. I mean,
And have they been around a long time? I mean, does this group evolve, or is this just a bunch of sort of paranormal freaks who are there for 4 years and then they move on to haunted mansion somewhere?
I mean, you'd be surprised how many paranormal groups there are on campus. There's like a ton. Like there's cold case groups, there's paranormal groups, like anything to do with like crime or like anything paranormal, aliens, whatever. There's so many groups for that on campus.
So, cold cases. What are they trying to solve? Like who took their bike and threw it in the Red Sea River?
They'll like get like real like cold cases from the FBI and just sit there and try to figure it out.
Just in East Lansing? Or are they trying to find
No,
out?
anywhere.
Anywhere?
Yeah, they're a really cool crew.
And have they caught anybody?
Probably not. Michigan State's cool. It's not that cool though.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. This sounds like one of those shows where you have the old time priest who's solving crimes, or the old lady on the moped. Now you got a bunch of kids in East Lansing who are trying to bring miscreants to justice from all over the world. That's kind of a club we didn't have when I was there.
There's clubs for everything there. I mean, the iconic lie they tell everyone is there's a squirrel watching club, a squirrel watchers watching club. But that's a lie. I've never found them. They're not real.
Maybe they're the ghosts.
Maybe.
So I'm wondering if this ghost club, maybe they went up like against some sort of supernatural creature that overmatched them, and maybe they're just not alive anymore. I mean, have you seen them?
I haven't seen them in forever, so maybe. They just completely ghosted me.
I'm wondering if there's an opportunity here for us to bring the Cold Case Club into the picture to look for the ghost busting club.
Okay. I'll have to send some emails and get that in the works.
I think you should work on that, because I really want to know. This may be a chance for us to have some synergy there, where we bring some kids who haven't found anybody yet, looking for some people who are looking for ghosts who've kind of become ghosts. And maybe if we put this together, somehow we end up with something. And then you have 2 great episodes of the podcast.
That would be good. I've got like 5 episodes that I've already written complete rundowns for. Everything's done, that they just never showed up. So I think it's people trying to connect to me. Maybe they're all just kicking butt.
Maybe you need to offer them some incentives, like
I don't have a budget like that.
Cookies, or a cold sportsman, a cold Altus sportsman.
Maybe if they'll allow that at my college radio station, I guess.
I'm sure they've never snuck a beer onto the college radio station, at least not that you know of.
Not that I know of. Impact 89 FM is a safe place for all students of all ages.
That's right, WDBM. Which they used to say, we demand better music. Is that still? It's just the impact. That's all they're going.
It's just the impact. I mean, got a ton of podcasts from the entertainment team, so I don't know. I'm not part of entertainment. That's too much for me.
Okay. Well, so Kalina she's shooting for 2 great podcasts. This is technically, I think, our 146th podcast. We are still shooting for 2 great podcasts, but we are not going to give up. We're never going to give up. So we're going to hear more from Kalina. She's going to take over the mic for a little while I go to powder my nose. But I'd love to see Carl Erickson up here, because when you think of the great Irish names, you think of Brian Boru, you think of Patty McGowan, you think of Julia O'Sullivan, and then of course there's Carl Erickson. There are a few more Irish names out there than Carl Erickson, but he's wearing green and he has a beer in his hand. So he is going to take Kalina's seat for a minute and tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Altus Empire. Of course, that's the beer that was born on the east side. It went away for a while, but it's back. It's a Detroit original. And just as you were starting to get to be familiar with and really enjoy the original flavor of Altus, Sportsman makes a scene. Cheers.
Salud.
And it's a beer that's got a malty taste. It's a full-body beer. And Carl's going to tell you a little bit about how Altus was reborn. It was a St. Patrick's Day miracle.
It was. So, Altus started brewing in Detroit around 1910 when they started advertising in the free press. And at that time, they were saying it was the beer of cheer, a glass of class. They also said that it was doctor recommended.
They said that about cigarettes too.
They did. They did.
Cigarettes are now out, but beer is still good for you.
After Prohibition, it was the #1 selling beer in Michigan at 4.7 million barrels. But, you know, like everything in the 80s and 90s, kind of hit the cutting room floor, and me and 2 other friends brought it back to the market. So Altus Original is a Helles lager. It's going to be a little bit more malt, hoppy, but we brought it back to a historical recipe where it would have been in the 30s and 40s when it was in its heyday. Altus Sportsman, which we're cheersing with, was a beer they brought out in the 1950s, and it's a celebration of the state of Michigan. Each can has facts around the entire can about the state of Michigan. This is one of the first sponsors from Michigan Out of Doors. And the gentleman who had Michigan Out of Doors had a raccoon that would drink it on air.
And how's that raccoon doing? Is he in a 12-step program?
He's embalmed somewhere, I'm sure.
But not with Altus.
Maybe.
Now, I know I ask you this all the time, but we should have a show of hands to see who thinks it's pronounced Altus and who thinks it's pronounced Altus.
I think it's Altus.
That's it. It's officially Altus.
Yes. Altus or Altus, as long as you drink it.
That's it. Just make sure you order it. The bartender will know what you're talking about.
Yes, they have both flavors here.
Now, since the original Altus came out, when I don't want to say that the standards were maybe not as high as they are now, but you know, now we talk about born on dates and fresh beer and everything's meticulously measured. Back when the original brewers were making it, do you think they were as careful to see that every glass tasted the same way as you guys are?
Well, you know, in the 20s and 30s, once beer started to become refrigerated, Altus started advertising brewed in sealed vats. So I would say before that, it was brewed in open vats. Meaning
That sounds like
the
a lot
beer
of
would
fun.
sit in an open tub while it was fermenting, and Lord knows what else would go into that tub while it was fermenting.
Probably a few cups.
You know, now, you know, we're obviously it's brewed very cleanly. It's brewed with water, hops, barley, and yeast. It's 5% alcohol, which is perfect for a long day of drinking. And you know, Altus went through a phase in the 80s where it turned into a really cheap beer, and it was $5.99 a case. When we brought it back, there's no way to do a $5.99 case of beer in Michigan. So we wanted to bring it back as a craft beer that's true to its roots.
And where can people find this carefully brewed in sealed vats?
Yes, in sealed vats. Altus Original, you can get 12 packs of that at Meijer and independent stores. Altus Sportsman, we're not in any major retailers yet other than Total Wine. But you can get that at any independent store in the state of Michigan.
And you can always ask your bartender if they don't have it, can they go out and get it? And if you want to buy some, you can always go to their website. That's altus.com, A-L-T-E-S.
Altus.beer.
Altus.beer, that's right. So who's got altus.com?
Oh, we do.
Oh, okay. So go to altus.beer and they'll get you the beer. Or they'll get you to the beer. Carl, before we go, you just turned 50 and you had a big surprise that seems really appropriate to talk about on this occasion. What happened, and will you ever be the same again?
I'll always be the same, but my 50th birthday party was at a place called the Oakland Boat Club. And unbeknownst to me, I was called upstairs for some reason at Oakland County Boat Club, went downstairs, and they called me to the front of the room. Little did I even notice, because I was 10 beers in at that time, there was one of those cakes that someone jumps out of. So everyone was singing in the whole bar, happy birthday to me. And in the middle of that song, a leprechaun popped out of the cake. And he was a wee lad. And the leprechaun was nice enough to dance a jig and hang out at the bar for the rest of the night, taking pictures with people.
Now, I understood he gave you 3 wishes. Obviously, the first one is to be with us today.
Of course.
I don't know what the second one was, but remember, always save that third one to undo the first 2 wishes.
Exactly.
So, Carl, thanks for joining us. Happy birthday.
Thanks for having me.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Salud.
It's official. Altus. You can get the Sportsman or you can get the beer wherever quality beers are sold. But get there before Carl, because if it's his birthday, he'll already have 10 of them under his belt.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Carl.
Good seeing you too.
Hey, Chef Bobby is in the house, and you've probably seen him on Fox too. Perhaps you've been at his place over on the east side. He's going to join us in just a minute to tell us what he's up to. Chef Bobby, what's he doing? He's ordering an Altus. And wait a minute, he's eating tuna fish out of a can. That's so un-Chef Bobby. I'll tell you, that guy, you got to put a leash on him.
Exceptionally well dressed.
This is a good looking crowd, man. Of course, I've been drinking, so we're grading on the curve today.
Thanks, man.
But hey, thanks, Carl. We'll catch up soon. So if you haven't seen our show before, we broadcast live every Tuesday starting around noon, and I say around noon because we were supposed to start today around noon. As you can tell, we have an Irish clock. So we broadcast live on YouTube channel ML Elrick every Tuesday. If you miss the live broadcast, we do have it archived so you can watch the replay. And of course, you can download the show whenever you like on your cell phone or wherever you get your podcasts. We are a top 200 podcast in the U.S. in the news commentary category. And we always have great guests and great conversation. Today's going to be a little different because we're not doing our Geek of the Week. We're not having any new wave music. And we're not dealing with Sean and Mark because they are busy with the NCAA tournament. But this is a chance for us to get out in the public. First time doing that and to have some great guests. And we're very glad that the pandemic seems to be dying down. And it's a chance for us to catch up with friends like Chef Bobby. Chef Bobby, grab a seat here. Get your headphones on. Okay. And tell us what you're up to these days.
I was just cooking away. I was on Fox 2 this morning making some Irish stew. And, John Rutherford and I go way back. I grew up in this neighborhood. I grew up on Kensington.
All right.
Just down the street from here. Born here in the early 70s. And this is my home, sweet home. I love it. I'll never forget this place. I still come back here to the old neighborhood and have a lot of love and respect for it. My buddy Dario is here. Dario went to Finney High. And,
so he's a Highlander.
Yeah, it's just a great group of guys. It's what Detroit's all about, is places like this. Guys like you never forget where you come from, regardless of how life, throws you here, throws you there. You get successful, you get knocked down. Detroit's awesome. Pretty cool.
I always knew I'd end up back on the east side. I never thought I'd run for city council. And looking back on it, maybe I shouldn't have. But you know what? You try and make a difference. And Bobby, I know you're a very charitable guy. You're certainly very generous with your time. I know when I was at Fox 2, you were on the air way more than I was. And
I'm addicted to it. I love it.
You always left a good taste in people's mouth. I can't say I did.
You're very kind. You're very kind. My mother was a chef. And like I said today on Fox 2, we grew up poor. I had no idea we were poor, but I mean, we were by any class, middle class, and I just thought we were very successful because we always ate good food. My grandfather was a butcher, and my grandmother worked at a bakery, and my mother was a chef. And we celebrated our wealth around the dinner table as families, and it had company over. And every great thing that happened to me as a young person happened around that dinner table, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we're missing in this younger sect. We're missing that family table, cooking with your mom, cooking with your grandmother. I mean, I think that would make the world a little bit better if people start cooking with their kids a little bit, teach them how to, enjoy the ingredients, experience ingredients, respect the ingredients, and stop going out for fast food. Live healthier lives too.
Oh yeah, and I'm always concerned about nutrition. And whenever you read studies on what's best for you, even in terms of warding off dementia, Alzheimer's, it's not eating prepared foods.
Yeah, our food is our medicine.
Fresh food.
Our food is our medicine. So I have a community kitchen that we provide food for about 600 people. And Dario Bergamo and Tom Chelani from the Chelani Family Foundation help really disseminate funds into my cause. And you're going to meet this guy. He's amazing. They raise over $1 million in one day, and all that money stays in the metropolitan Detroit area. They spread that all around. It goes to Capuchins, Gleaners, Hunger Free and the D, all types of education about nutrition. So the reason why I bring this food kitchen up is these are people that are on very expensive medication. They can't afford to keep the heat on. They can't afford to, do I eat or do I turn the heat on, or do I not eat and buy my blood pressure medicine, my diabetes medicine? So what I make sure happens is that we don't use any processed food at our shelters. The soup is made out of a real broth with real herbs, and real vegetables, and not canned chicken like a lot of these places do. I'm tired of these people coming there just to get full. I want them to have some medicinal therapy through my food, and that's a gift from God to be able to do that. I think that's awesome to be able to, to play that role in our seniors, because they're all seniors. These people aren't battling drug addiction or alcoholism. These are people that just work their whole lives, prepared for retirement, and the playing field got flipped on them. The economic crisis, or they get sold a bad mortgage, reverse mortgage, and get stolen.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. That's stuff that you would report about. Like scumbags out there that prey on our seniors.
People like Rob Walchuk were put in the Hall of Shame.
Yes. Yeah. So, that's the best part about being on TV and having this platform, because I get to have a voice that is meaningful. I get to have a voice that can help people and spread the love and help people out through my food. And I think that's been a gift from God. I don't think that just happened by accident. I thank the Lord every day for being able to do that.
Yeah, well, we thank you for doing it. We're going to have Dario on in just a minute to talk about the foundation and their charitable efforts. I got to tell you my Irish stew story, and then I want you to give us the key to a good Irish stew. I was working at a youth hostel in Killarney, Ireland, which is not far from where my grandmother grew up. She was an East Sider her whole life. We had a group of French people show up. French students who were on a tour. And so they came up in a motor coach. This was about 1991. And the guy I worked with, or the guy I worked for, he was the warden of the youth hostel. I was the assistant warden, which is basically like assistant manager. We would book accommodations and meals. And so people would come and have a group meal. And they showed up and they said, first of all, we're here for our booking. And I was the only guy at the hostel who spoke French, and I wouldn't say I spoke it very well. But when it comes to running a youth hostel, my boss was a great fisherman. And so when this happened, he was off fishing, which was a bit of a problem because this is a free cell phone era. So we have 75 or 100 French people who are hungry, who want a bed. We have a limited number of those, and they want a meal. And that takes some time even to make a crappy meal. Even grilled cheese takes a few minutes. And so we didn't know what to do. So we scrambled around to get them some beds. And in the meantime, everybody who works is like, what are we going to do with all these really hungry, cranky French people? And we had a very small shop. And there was a moment of panic. And I looked over my shoulder and I noticed that we had some very dusty tins of Irish stew. So we kind of stalled the French people. We opened as many of these cans as we had, dumped them into a big vat, heated it up, threw it out on the tables. And one of the people who was French, and she said, they're not going to be happy with this. And I said, we just got to feed them. We're just going to do it. So we sat there as we doled out these bowls of Irish stew from a can that was probably pre-World War II and watched them, and they just stared at it. And of course, we didn't have any bread, which is always a problem for the French. If you didn't have any bread with the meal, it wasn't a meal. And then they one by one lined up and dumped this Irish stew into a garbage can and went hungry. So obviously you would not serve Irish stew like that. But what is the key to a Chef Bobby approved Irish stew recipe?
Well, so I think it's fresh ingredients. You got to know.
Yeah, the can was a bad start.
I'd stay out of the can.
Yeah.
It's really what your family likes, and then about food, like you said, an Irish stew. I think that you can build a lot of bridges through food. I mean, if you look at any situation, you have a friend over, a client over, you take people, you break bread over dinner. Deals are made at dinner, engagements are made at dinner. People announce promotions at dinner. So the key is to try to be cognizant of your guest list. And today, with all the food allergies and like that, you have to be careful. But I just think start with fresh ingredients. Your best parsnips or your best potatoes. your best lamb, if you like lamb. You know, some people think it's too gamey, they don't like lamb.
Can you substitute beef or something?
Yeah, I did beef and pork today.
Okay.
So like, so a good friend of mine is Jason Grobel, Grobel's corned beef.
Sure.
So,
Right there in Eastern Market, right?
so what he taught me is that it used to be pork that they would do this to, and then when the settlers came to the United States, they didn't have the access to beef because beef was very expensive. So they would do it pork or cheaper cuts of livestock. And then until the United States came along, they started doing the corned beef here. So it was pretty interesting. It was the backstory about that. And Grobel's, I mean, they sell 1 million pounds of corned beef every week. It's crazy. Have you been to this plant?
No.
We have to go check it out. It's ugly. It's like, it's state of the art now. It's like, everything's like HACCP approved. The floors can't get bacteria. It's special paint on the floor. It's all automated. It still has 400 plus employees. The place is, busting at the seams. He's invested a lot of money in Eastern Market. Great guy. Another guy that does a lot of philanthropy work around the metropolitan Detroit. Hires kids, from broken homes, teaches them how to make a living, how to contribute to society through hard work. And I think that's phenomenal. But back to the stew, a good Guinness in there, or I deglazed my Irish stew today with some Bushmills and some Jamesons, right. And so give it a little zip, a little flair there. Ireland. Yeah, a little Northern Ireland. Yeah, so I think that gives it a different profile. And I like fresh herbs, the bay leaves, the rosemary, the thyme. That's really not traditionally, our food at Irish food's kind of bland sometimes. It's salt and pepper based with a little bay leaf.
Yeah, it's boiled.
Yeah, it's boiled. The pickling spice is important and stuff, when you're doing the corned beef and cabbage. But I think, it's all relative. I think it's about the people that are sitting around the table. I think if you had a couple bottles of Bordeaux for those French people and got them a little hammered before that food came out and maybe had a crust of bread, I think you would have been all right.
Yeah, no, it's, sometimes you learn these things too late, but they never came back, so I never had a chance to make it up to them.
That's all right. They're snobs anyways. They invented gourmet food, so it's like, it's you're reaching for a very high bar at that point. So
well, I can't blame them. I stood in front of those tins of Irish beef stew for 5 months, and I never would open one either. So the French, they know what they're talking about.
Having 3 chefs in the household growing up. I mean, like I said, I lived on Kensington with my grandmother and my grandfather. My great grandmother lived in the basement. My mom and dad, my sister and I lived upstairs. It was just like an English tutor, and right off Otter Drive
it's East
East Orange. Yeah, I loved it over there. And like I said, it was a beautiful neighborhood. Until I went to Grosse Pointe to visit my cousins, I didn't realize how poor we were. I thought we were killing it. And I'm like, wow, what a mess. We don't even have a dishwasher. I didn't see a dishwasher. Like, this is a dishwasher. Wow, that's really cool. You load all the dishes in there. That's how far it was. I was like, we're poor. We don't have a dishwasher.
Well, when you're going to be a chef, you're thinking, I want to be a chef. I just don't want to wash all these damn dishes. Then you go to Grosse Pointe, you're like, you know what? Maybe I could do that.
Yeah, I've never been to the yacht club before. I've seen all these yachts. The first time I saw a Porsche, wow, that's a really cool car. I was like, oh, it's a Porsche. And I told my uncle, I said,
that's the fanciest VW I've ever seen.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. They do look like a VW. I told my uncle, this is 1976. I was 6 years old, guys. And I looked up at him. I said, one day I'm gonna have a boat here, and I'm gonna be a member at this club. And I was 6 years old. And fast forward to 2002, that same uncle sponsored me to be a member at that club. And it's a great fishing hole for me as a chef, because a lot of those people like to entertain. And I tell young people, try to surround yourself by successful people and go where the money is if you want to do business. Have integrity, do a good job, under promise, over deliver. But I think being around, successful people is help. It's like, becoming friends with Dario my whole life. Dario surrounds himself with the best of the best. They're not all billionaires, but they're all hardworking people. They all have integrity. They all look out for each other. Like our crew is amazing. I mean, we all look out for each other. Everybody eats at our table. You need this. This guy helps us out. He's a Detroit guy. He's one of our guys. Call him. He'll hook you up. You need whatever. I mean, he's going to tell you about his background. I'm going to tell you about his background. Growing up at Finney High and playing baseball. His uncle was Augie Bergamo. The guy played professional baseball in the 40s at the World Series. 300 average baseball player from Detroit. Cool stuff. It's just there's a lot of history here. I don't think Detroit gets enough credit.
Well, that's a good time to bring Dario on. Dario, why don't you step up to the mic here and tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days. Thanks, Chef Bobby. We'll see you on Fox 2.
What's up, ML?
Welcome to the east side, although I guess you know this neighborhood pretty well because we're right down the street from your old school.
And I know this neighborhood all too well, but I got to say something. How about this kid? This Chef Bobby. I known him for a lot of years now, and there's not a harder working chef in this town that cares about people and does so many great things for people. Sometimes to a fault, because he does so many
Well,
great
if you're going to have a fault, that's the one to have.
Yeah, right. And then I get the call after. So, but just his charitable, upbringing, and his mom, and where he was, and how he learned how to be a chef, and so most of the things we do revolve around food. But yeah, I grew up. I can name every street going down here from Cadieux all the way to Beaconsfield.
Oh yeah.
Where I grew up at. Went to Clark Elementary School. I'm sorry to say that they're going to close Clark.
Are they?
Yeah, it's one of the PSL. It's on the hit list.
They're always on the bubble.
Right. So, but being here at the Cadieux Cafe is very nostalgic because we were all paper boys in the early 60s. I became a paper boy in 64 at 9 years old.
News or free press?
Not news, Detroit News.
Me too.
No, I couldn't get up that early.
Me neither.
So we'd go to school, we'd go to the paper station over on Lozier and Lake Point. And, I think I made $18 a week. It was a lot of money in 1964.
That must have been a pretty big route.
Right? Oh yeah, I had two sides of the street, and you couple that with cutting grass and shoveling snow and cleaning gutters and painting garages and all the other things we did. But went here to Finney High School right in the corner at Cadieux Warren. Played baseball, football, basketball. In 71, we won the football championship. We were the number one team in the city. Beat Cass Tech and Northwestern. Steve Cholis, my best friend, best man, was a quarterback. His father was a coach.
Yeah.
I was a better baseball player than I was a football player. But we had a lot of fun, a lot of great memories from this group.
So I met Steve, who's now a judge, when I was knocking on doors doing an investigation, and he came to the door and I said, "Hey, I'm ML Elrick. I'm looking at this day." He goes, "I'm Cholis." I said, "I'm Cholis? What does that mean? Is that like saying, I'm Iron Man?" And so I looked him up, and yeah, his dad, legendary coach, great East Sider, still on the East Side.
Nick, I talk to Nick. I call him all the time. I still remember the old phone number in my head. I call. I still got the same number. They were on Haverhill. Now they live close to.
Now, do you remember what the two letters were? Was it, like how you have tuxedo 1, 2, 5,
Oh yeah. It was tuxedo for sure.
Was it okay? Yeah. So that's the East Side Exchange.
I go through all my old friends. I still remember their numbers ML from the 60s. I can't remember my kids' numbers.
Yeah. Now you just say your kid's name.
I just say it's all speed down, right? So.
So tell us about what the foundation is doing. Tell us about your charitable endeavors.
Yeah, so about 8 years ago, in 2013, Tom Solani calls me. He says, "Put on Fox 2. You got to see what's going on here. None of these people are getting Thanksgiving dinners, so we need to get engaged." I'm like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" He says, "Well, I think let's get them some turkeys." So we decide to buy 10,000 turkeys, right? And literally call Butterball Turkey. Butterball, we sell them turkeys down in West Virginia or somewhere down there. And it worked out a plan for us. And I'm like, "Tom, how are we going to distribute these turkeys?" So people are going to have them under their arm like Barry Sanders, like a football. I mean,
Thanksgiving, why not?
it's Thanksgiving. How are we going to get rid of them? So we got a little smarter. We went to see Jerry Bichon at Leaner's Food Bank. And so we made a donation and we got engaged with Leaner's. And if people don't know, any of the listeners don't know about Leaner's, they provide food as a food bank to 527 pantries throughout southeastern Michigan. One of which is the Capuchin Soup Kitchen. It's very near and dear to both Tom's and my heart because our families grew up there. My dad's house is still standing right there at Melton and Kirchable. So we're really big in the community down there, and they benefit because I'll throw this out. And then I'll go back to Cars and Cigars, the event that we do every year. We take some money from that event and earmark it for Hunger Free and Big which is a program we do in conjunction with WJR. On Monday before Thanksgiving, we give 200,000 as a matching contribution on air, and we turned that in 2020. We turned in 743,000 last year, 625,000, and we have a big bocce ball tournament on the Palazzo di Bocce, that's north of where the Palace used to be. So
Yeah, that's a huge place out there. I didn't know bocce was that big.
So we put in 40 teams, 160 players. Paul W. brings the show out there, and away we go. We have a great bocce ball tournament, and people call in and raise a lot of money for a good cause for Capuchins and Gleaners. So in the 8 years we've been doing that, I think it's got to be closing up on $4 million, just that aspect of it.
Do you have a website or anything where people can find out what's going on, or one of the events that people can dial into?
Yeah, we should do. So we started a platform called Smoke Detroit, which I'm wearing this pin today. And Smoke Detroit was a platform to raise money for, the Shalani Foundation. Tom and Vicky had a foundation already in play, so all we did was add on to it, add certain events to it. So if you go to SmokeDetroit.com, it leads into the Chalani Foundation. It's easy to remember, and that'll show you a couple of events that we do have, which brings me back to Cars and Cigars, which really is our signature event that we hold every June, first or second Thursday in June at Freedom Hill Amphitheater over in Sterling Heights. And what a tremendous day that is. We get the 1,500 people. We have a car show and a cocktail party from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. This year it's on June 9th. We've got entertainment there, cars there, and then at 7 o'clock we move everybody into the theater where we have Mark Randizzi and the Motor City Horns playing Joe Licari, Andy Amon's beautiful sit-down dinner. And the entire theater is tiered like Vegas, and also it's going 5 tiers up plus the main floor. So it's quite extensive what we do, and we throw a big auction. So we'll gross, I don't know, $1.4 million that night roughly.
That's real money.
$1 million something. We give money to over 30 charities. So besides Gleaners and the Capuchins, we give money to Eaton Academy, the Veterans Returning Home, Rhonda Walker Foundation, Grim Rehabilitation Institute in Michigan for vets and stuff that are rehabilitated from Vietnam to injuries. Boys Hope, Girls Hope, on and on. There's about 30. So we do some pretty good things.
Well, that's great, John. Hey, thanks for coming in, and thanks for everything you're doing. To find out more, go to SmokeDetroit.com. And Cars and Cigars coming up in June. Check it out.
Thank you. Appreciate having me.
Hey, welcome home, man. Yeah, I want to acknowledge some folks who are in the crowd here tonight who have been supporting, or this afternoon, have been supporting both this podcast and what we're doing for a long time. Amy O'Brien is here from Roy O'Brien Ford in St. Clair Shores. Cars are hard to come by these days, but they always have a great selection of new and used cars, so check them out. And there's a lot of people here from my campaign team who really helped us run a great campaign that was ultimately unsuccessful. We'll see whether that's for the better or the worse. But I want to thank all the people who came out here and spent so much time with us this summer trying to bring honest change to Detroit politics. And we also have one of our most popular former guests of all time in the audience, Stacy Hashi. You may remember her from our episode Hands Job, which is all about sign language. So let's try and keep it clean. This is a religious-based holiday after all. So I see another longtime fixture on the show, Mr. Matt Jennings here. You may know him from his history jokes, and I don't mean that it's been so funny long since he was funny. You have to go back in ancient history. I mean, because he's someone who takes a different take on the past. So Matt, settle in and regale us with some of your favorite St. Patrick's Day jokes.
Hi, everybody out there. How are you?
They're waving.
Are we doing this? Or?
No, this is radio, so people can't see it. It's just you and me. So Matt, you're known for your jokes about history, but I asked you to look up and as best you're able to create some original Irish jokes. Now, Ireland's been around for a long time. The Celts before that, I think there was the Picts and the Goths and all these other ones. Not the Goths that you'd find at the City Club on any Friday or Saturday night. But the ancient people, sort of druidic. So to come up with something original, you're going up against 2,000 or more years of history. But let's hear what you got. Let's hear some of your best St. Patrick's Day humor.
Okay, well, we can jump right in. You know, St. Patrick, he used those clovers, the three-leaf clovers, to teach people about Christianity. You know that, right?
Oh, sure.
Well, now it's changed. Now it symbolizes how many flights of stairs a drunk Mark Fellhauer will be falling down after Michigan loses.
And you know this. You've seen him at the Tool concert, so you've seen Mark Fellhauer.
Oh, and by the way, can we talk about this for just 1 second?
Sure.
He's talking about me being a chatty Cathy with my little phone and taking out like some teenager. This guy, after every single song, was checking the score of the Michigan game. So who had their phone out the most? I think it was Mark.
Yeah, he's a big, and I think as we speak, Michigan is pulling the lead against Colorado State. So Mark is probably very glad he's not here, and that's just one of the reasons. So keep it going, Matt.
All right. Today I'm not going to drink too much because you remember last year, right?
I don't remember last St. Patrick's Day, which is probably because somebody drank too much.
Well, yeah, I drank so much I had to take the bus home, which was crazy because I've never driven a bus before. Hey-o!
Wow, and here I thought you ended up with Jerome Bettis. That's much better.
Hey, I got a question for you. Why do leprechauns giggle when they play soccer?
I'm afraid to ask.
Because the grass tickles their balls.
Okay.
Hello.
It's time for a commercial. Actually, we don't have any commercials. Okay, Matt, you're on a roll, but it's going downhill.
Okay, well, let's go downhill together. What's the main difference between an Irish wedding and an Irish funeral?
One less dead guy.
One less drunk.
Oh.
Hello.
Okay. Unless he was involved. We don't know what the circumstances
All right.
are.
Now, I'm only like 25% Irish, but today I'm 100% ML Elrick.
Oh, okay.
I messed that joke up.
Yeah, that lets the Irish off.
But today I'm like ML Elrick, 100% not as cool as Sean. What I meant to say.
That's everything.
Okay, last joke. What has 10 legs and the IQ
Or it could be
of...
the first joke. It depends how you're grading.
What has 10 legs and an IQ of 30?
10 legs and an IQ of 30. Juwan Howard.
The soul of Detroit on St. Patrick's Day.
Where did the other 6 legs come from?
Well, you had guests on, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that's true. Okay.
Come on.
Now, did you only come up with 10 legs because that's how many fingers you have, or?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to get you an abacus.
Well, I'm glad I could let everybody down again. It's fun.
No, it's good to see you again. It's the hearing you that's the problem.
Yeah, that's right. I missed you, man. I missed everybody in the podcast world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Jennings.
Thank you, everybody.
So, Kalina, you want to jump back up here and try and save the show? Great to have you back, Matt.
Yeah, glad to be back.
So while Kalina joins us, we're gonna put August on deck to talk about another charitable endeavor that involves some pretty swanky gear.
I don't know if I can save the show, but I can be here.
Yeah, no, I think this is if you were going to the MSU vet school, this would be where you bring out what they call the humanitarian option, which is really just a large gun to kill horses. But thankfully, you're in the communication arts school. So, if you were in East Lansing right now, what would St. Patrick's Day be like?
Chaotic. This morning started out for my friends with a couple frats rented out Club Rush, which is the old Sensations, and they rented that all out from 8 a.m. to 11, and all my friends were there. And now they're actually at a concert at a frat house. Once they're done with that, they're going to go to a party. And then they got a couple hours break, and then they're going to another party. So,
well, speaking of concerts, I should let you know that after we're done here, music takes the stage here at Cadieux Cafe. St. Patty at the Cadieux features Irish Balladeer, Michael O'Brien, the Odd Enough Celtic Music Band, and tonight at 8 p.m. the Corktown Popes take the stage. So we're going to have music all night here at the Cadieux Cafe. And if you've never been here before, check out the website, CadieuxCafe.com. There's always something going on at the Cadieux. Of course, there's the feather bowling, which you can only do here on the east side. And there's live music. Since the pandemic started, a lot of businesses were just trying to survive. Well, the Cadieux doubled down in their investment on the east side. They built the outdoor performance area. They built the garage bar. So there's always something going on. This is your headquarters for live music on the east side. So check out CadieuxCafe.com to find out who's playing. And if you're watching us now on YouTube and you're looking for a place to spend St. Patrick's Day, it's a Belgian bar most of the year, but tonight it's an Irish bar. So Thursday night, as I recall, was a big bar night in East Lansing. So how is St. Patrick's Day going to be different than any other Thursday night?
Well, people start lining up for the bars at like 5 a.m. and they'll open around like 8 or 9. And they just go all day. I know a lot of my friends from different schools are driving up to meet in East Lansing. Most of them are at PT O'Malley and Dublin, but they'll be there all day long. I'm sure by the time I get up there, I'm going to have to be avoiding drunk people stumbling down the street.
So they're going green in every sense.
Oh, for sure.
And the difference between a typical Thursday is they're lining up for the bars at 5 a.m. instead of 6 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, I did have a big project today, and I know a lot of professors were really mean and gave a lot of exams today. But for the most part, they start lining up around like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock now, because if you want to get into Dublin, you have to get there before like 6.
Now, are they just going there because it's called Dublin's?
No, everyone loves Dublin. All of a sudden, it was just a big thing. It was always Harper's, and then I guess Lou has a little bit. That's where the athletes go, but it's always either Harper's or Dublin.
Where do the athletes go?
Lou Haas, Lou and Harry's.
Oh, yeah. So tell me where that is, because all the bar names have changed since I've been there, except for the Peanut Barrel, Crunchies. Well, I guess PT O'Malley's was there.
Rick's
the Land Shark was there. Rick's was there. The Rib was there. So I guess those are
Just a
the places.
couple. Lou Haas is like right next to like the new Target that they built. So that might have not even been there originally.
So that's on Grand River.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all on Grand River for the most part.
So it sounds like when you get to East Lansing, it's going to be too late for you to get in there.
Oh, for sure.
So what are you going to do?
Go to a frat house?
Oh, okay. Nothing bad ever happens there.
No, it's so fun.
Now,
It's
you know
free.
the rules there. You got to pour your own drinks.
Oh, everything comes in cans.
Oh, good. Okay.
And they don't open it for you. You know, it's a rule. They have to make rules like that.
Okay, good. I'm glad to see that
Oh, yeah, I'm smart. Don't worry.
the level of sophistication among our college students has increased
Not much.
dramatically.
Not much.
A little.
I just signed up for a dirty tug.
A what?
A dirty tug. It's a philanthropy event where they're going to make a big mud puddle and I got to pull a rope.
A dirty tongue.
Dirty tug.
So I had some housemates when I was in East Lansing that would do a dirty tongue. That's not what it meant.
Oh, well. A little different.
Yeah, no, again, the kids are getting much more sophisticated these days. So I'm thinking, as a veteran podcaster, you're probably ready to take over if I step aside. And you can ask Mr. August Kitschlag a little bit about this big event that he's got going on.
Sure.
You ready? Because this guy can be a handful. He's a part-time bartender. So he kind of figures he's got it all figured out.
Well, if he's got it figured out, I got it figured out.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, Kalina takes the helm with a well-known troublemaker who's, I guess, what's worse than two-fisted? Single-fisted and two-shotted. Okay. So,
Where you want me?
you're going to come here before you do it. What is this that we got?
Patty's. It's not James, it's Patty's Irish.
So when I lived in Killarney, Patty's was my favorite whiskey. It's underappreciated.
Exactly.
Nice and smooth, nice and mild, just enough peat. Slosh it.
It's well done.
Oh, I didn't expect to inherit the VIP mic
I
here.
know, right?
So,
You would think I'd get that first. No, I've been here a little longer.
I thought so. It's nice to meet you. I've always heard your voice.
Well, thank you.
It's, I'm August.
Okay, good. Can you tell everyone on like the podcast who you are?
All right, so my name's August Gitschlag. I'm here representing. ML has been great. We met doing fundraisers. We met doing charity work. That's kind of how we met. And I've been doing a fundraiser in Hamtramck, 2 of them. One called the Magnum Party, which ML has been to the Magnum Party a couple times. And this one is the Tracksuit Party. Tracksuit Party started about 10 years ago when we've all put on vintage tracksuits, showed up at the bar the same night and said, this is kind of fun.
ML actually does charity work?
Oh, he does lots of charity.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, we met during a Killer Kowalski fundraiser.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we met. And I told them about the events that we were doing in Hamtramck. I'm actually the city clerk of Closet.
Oh, cool. One of my best friends grew up in Closet.
It's a neat little town. I was before that. I was the city clerk of Hamtramck.
Okay.
Exact same geographic size, half the population in Closet.
Oh.
Yeah, still 3 miles.
So what is this event for? What do you raise your money for?
So we raise money. Everyone wears vintage tracksuits. We do a bunch of raffles. We have a title sponsor this year in Blake's site.
Oh,
So you've heard of
awesome.
Blake's, you know, and I actually my buddy Mike Cadieux, who's a good friend of us and Hamtramck. He does a lot of events with us in Hamtramck. They're the sponsor along with the party. We've gotten to the point after 10 years where actual
Yeah, it's a big event.
real companies step up to help sponsor the party because it's got some legs.
Yeah.
So this is our 8th tracksuit party. We lost 2 because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it should be the 10th, but it's on April 15th at Worcester the Jar in Hamtramck. And I promised ML a shirt, and I dropped the ball again. But he prefers the Magnum shirts anyway. The ones that have Tom Selleck. He's a big Tom Selleck fan.
Oh, yeah.
So it's great. So I did not expect to be here in the on camera like this. Hi.
Oh, yeah. It's on
It's
YouTube.
YouTube world.
Yeah.
So
How can people come? Do they have to pay cover?
no, there's no cover. All we ask is we encourage everyone to drop $20 on raffle tickets.
Awesome.
So people coming in, some old timers coming in here. They're coming in for the music. They're not coming in to hear me.
I know. They didn't expect a 20-year-old girl to be sitting there talking to screen. I didn't either. ML just texted me. Like,
Just
you come?
text you.
I'm like, all right.
Well, great. I'm glad he did. You know, I'm a fellow Spartan.
Really?
Yes, I'm a Spartan. I'm a James Madison kid
Oh,
back in the day. So,
not me. J school.
you know, we're not as smart as we sound.
What are you guys raffling off at the?
We are very fortunate to have so many friends in the bar and restaurant industry that we have gift cards to basically everything. And it goes from Mount Clemens bars to Rochester Hills to breweries. Lots of friends in the beer business, like the Blake's folks. They step up with tours, and then all our other friends in every brewery in town donates. It's nice to see industry people coming together. I bartended for 15 years,
Yeah.
all coming together to support each other. Like, of course, you want something? We'll give you, you and 4 friends, the chef's table at the Elephant Room, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Caucus Club always gives us big, high-end, if it's an expensive place, give us big gift cards for that place. So it's wonderful. And people that have never been to these places get to go.
And how did you get started doing a whole event with the tracksuits or whatever?
We felt guilty because we were making money bartending.
Well,
But seriously, we did the first one, and so many people showed up that we said, we need to do something more than just throw a party to make money ourselves as bartenders.
yeah.
So we started the charity part, and then we left bartending, and we still go back to do this event.
That's awesome.
We have our professional lives. Mike is a graphic designer. Conrad is the city assessor. Are you kidding? Farash Shimami just walked in the door. How are you, buddy? And so we just kind of felt guilty for making money bartending that we started throwing fundraisers. And
That's awesome.
we've been doing it for the last 10 years. And it's been very successful, and I'll always go back.
Have you ever thought of expanding to East Lansing? Kids in East Lansing will pay so much money for drinks.
It's not about paying money for drinks. It's about paying money for raffle tickets.
Well, yeah, but
That's where the money comes from. But we would love to be in a college town, but it's just if you want to take the reins on that and be our point person in East Lansing, just give me a reason to go back to the Ridge. Give me a reason.
Any reason
to go back on
Walking
campus. and be up there, I'm happy to do that.
The Riv does philanthropy events all the time.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you. I'm not as plugged into the scene as I used to be. So
It's a lot of fun up there.
let's talk about this.
Yeah.
We can bring ML up, and we'll do something all together. I'm sure if we have fireball shots, they'll be thrilled. We'll get them. We've worked with them. They sponsor some fun.
Really?
Yeah. Fireball sponsored some of our events in the past. We can bring them. We know those people.
How did you get them to start working with you? Like, that's a big, national, worldwide company.
It's always about the local reps,
Okay.
who you pay attention to, and who you're paid to. When they come in, we treat them well. We reach out. A lot of times, people are just afraid to ask. And if you ask them, they have a budget to help out, and they will donate. Even if they just donate a box of T-shirts and headbands.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much a 24-year-old loves that T-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
They get for free. And when they get to be my age, I have a garage full of them, and they're like, get these things out of here. Like, it's the amount of swag and the budgets these liquor companies and beer companies have. They don't necessarily write you checks, but they'll give you all kinds of swag. Then after 10 years, you get a sponsor like Blake's that writes you checks. And it gets, you just got to earn it.
Yeah.
You just got to reach out, and it's all about the ask. Once you ask, people are willing to help. It's wonderful. We've been very blessed, and blessed to have friends like ML who bring us on to talk about these amazing events we're doing. And this one, the Tracksuit Party benefits the Friendship House. Which is the only, well, not the only, it's now one of 2 food pantries in Hamtramck. It only serves the Hamtramck community. 48212 area code.
Do you always work with, I'm sorry, what was the name of
The Friendship House.
the Friendship House? Do you always work with them, or is it other?
In the beginning, we spread it around. And about 5 years ago, we locked it in that I'm on the board of directors of the Friendship House. So the tracksuit is for Friendship House. And the Magnum Party, which is everyone wears tiger hats, Hawaiian shirts, and short shorts. It's the most comfortable party. You can't get a better costume. Just easy as it gets, right? Dress up like Tom Selleck.
Perfect.
And that one always goes to the Hero Foundation, which does families suffering from cancer.
Okay.
The breadwinner has cancer, they take care of the holidays, and then it's a cancer charity, Michigan only. A friend of ours started when her father had survived pancreatic cancer, which no one saw.
Yeah.
And so it was literally a 1 in a million situation.
Is there a way people can donate if they can't come with that?
Yes, we are on the Book of Faces. We're all over Facebook. We're old, so we're still on Facebook.
I'm still on Facebook, don't worry.
Us old people. Still on Facebook. Look up anything at Whiskey and Jar in Hamtramck or the Tracksuit Party. And we also have Instagram. I can't remember. We change the name every time we have another party on Instagram. I think it's called like the Magnum suit or Mag suit or something like that. I'll send it to Mark. We'll put it up on the website.
Yeah, we'll get it out.
We'll get it out there too. So. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that John from Cadieux. I'm a feather bowler. I'm in the league here for 16 years now.
I have not done it yet. My mom and ML used to come all the time, and I gotta get out here when I'm not in school. Maybe this summer I'll come.
Hey, let me know. We'll bring a couple of the guys from the league out. We'll give you lessons. Bring some friends. We'll teach you how to do it. That way, when you graduate and you have time, you'll come join the group.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
I love it here. I never get a chance to be down here.
It's wonderful.
Thanks so much. Is there anything else you want to let us know about your event?
Actually, it's April 15th. It's on Good Friday, and it rotates every year. We are going to have some new ciders. Mike, what do we have? Can't talk about them? So we're going to be releasing some new flavors of cider from Blake's Ciders that are not, we can't even talk about them yet. They're that new. And they'll be released, one of them will be just available that week, right? So you can get the newest Blake's release at the Tracksuit Party on April 15th. At Whiskey in a Jar in Hamtramck.
Thanks so much.
World-class DJ Tom T is getting off a plane from Dubai just to do this party.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's world-class Michigan State alum.
Really?
Went on from college, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Everyone's just connected to Michigan State.
It all comes back to Michigan State and me.
Yeah.
I'm the Kevin Bacon of the East Side.
I feel like everyone is like my whole ML's friend group. It's just everyone's here. I mean, that's how I met them.
ML knows everybody. I know everybody. Together, we know everybody. And it's great. When you come together, you do things like this. When he comes to my events, I go to his events. We met doing charity. And that's what's great about it. Hopefully we'll keep seeing you at events and charity events.
Oh yeah, I don't.
You'll have your own
plan on-
podcast pretty soon.
Oh yeah, exposure on Impact 89 FM.
There you go. Well, he's been sitting down too long.
I know.
Coming back. No one wants to hear my ramblings anymore. So, well,
Thanks so much.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Of
It was
course.
wonderful. You're a natural.
Thanks.
You got a
hope
future in
so.
this business.
I hope so.
Did you just run to the bathroom?
I'm out literally right behind
Behind
you.
me. Okay. Where'd he go? All right. Well, thank you, sir.
So great. I like trading seats with you because your seat had food with it.
Yeah, it did. You took me away from it.
I know it was strategic, but I left the cookies up there.
Yeah, but I brought this. Well, actually, my mom brought them. I told her I got to stop bringing you guys food. We're going to start expecting it.
No, well, you can bring us food because I'm on cholesterol medicine now. But Sean, I'm not sure. He's
Sean appreciates it.
he's got a sweet tooth. It's just kind of his thing. So I think we're probably getting ready to wind down. I don't know if John Rutherford. Hey, John, you want to come up and talk a little bit about what's going on here tonight? Not the stuff that's going down after your clothes, the illegal stuff. The legal stuff. That's what we want you to talk about. So do you want to take the boss or do you want to tag out?
I'll tag out. I just did one. Come on. Give me a break.
All right, let's hear it for Kalina.
How's it going?
Okay, John, so this is our first ever live broadcast. We tried to do this in 2019.
Yep.
We had everything set up. We even came out a day early to test our systems, which
Which we didn't do today.
no, and you can see why that was a good idea then, and we're just gonna survive and advance, which is the whole theme of March Madness. But some guy in China ate a bat and it screwed up St. Patty at the Cadieux.
Among many other things.
Yes, and now we're back. And tell us a little bit about what's going on today at Caddy. And for people who may be catching this later on, let people know what's going on because it's starting to get warm out. And I see the beer garden.
We're getting that going a little bit, baby steps. We don't have the outside bar open yet, but we have about a dozen tables out.
The garage bar will be open soon.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
So tell people what's going on today.
Yeah, so today, once we wrap up your podcast, we have actually a high school buddy of mine from University of Detroit, Jesuit High School and Academy, Chris Filker and his father and others will be playing in traditional Irish music in a band called Odd Enough. And they have an Irish balladeer named Michael O'Brien who will be joining them. And they'll be playing until about 7 p.m., 7:30. And then about 8:30 or so, 8:45, we have the Corktown Popes who just got back from some shows in Pittsburgh. They'll be doing a show here tonight. So we'll be going, we're going till 2 a.m. tonight. We got, some great traditional Irish music and then some rock and roll, sort of Irish world music. And I think it should be a really fun day. It started off great. We got a full house here right now. And
Yeah,
come on up.
It's a good time. This has been 2 years in the making, and you can see that it was a great idea. Did I see your dad here in a tracksuit?
Yeah, my dad's here in an Adidas tracksuit. Yeah.
Now, all he's missing is a pork pie hat. He could look like the fourth member of Run DMC.
He just turned 93.
And the reason he's had such success is by regularly attending events at the Cadieux. That's one of the things that they don't tell you. The key to longevity: family, a good beer, some good food,
Definitely.
and a little live music.
Yeah, we have corned beef and cabbage today. We have Guinness Irish stew, all freshly made this morning by one of our chefs, Andy Mizrahi. Everyone seems to love it. And it's nice and warm.
So there's still a Mizrahi working here at the Cadieux?
There is, yeah, there is. Yeah,
And Eastside Elvis was here not too long ago?
yeah, I'll be back soon as well.
Okay. So, John, what are you up to next? I know you get out on the road a lot, performing with various bands from Motown to Seeger to even some classical stuff, right?
Well, that's why so we're playing the next night. So I'm going to be playing the next few weeks. The opera Lavo M with the Michigan Opera Theater, now known as Detroit Opera Theater. just rebranded. But we've got our Detroit Opera House for the next few months.
And I heard Andreas Bocelli was going to book you. He said, I haven't heard your music, but I just like your looks.
I did play with him a couple months ago at the Seasons Arena.
Is he a cool guy?
I didn't get to talk to him, but I've actually performed with him a few times. Back him up.
Now, when you do these gigs with these big international stars, is there much interaction with the band, or they just kind of blow in and blow and say, don't make eye contact?
It really varies. I mean, of course, now with COVID protocols in place, there's not much of that interaction backstage. But I mean, for instance, when I played with the Who in Grand Rapids a couple of years ago, and when we had our dinner break, I was at dinner with one of my buddies. He plays trumpet, and Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey sat down at our table.
Now, what were those guys like?
I mean, it was pretty casual. It was a big table. I mean, it was a 12-seater, so there was a big distance from one side of the table to the other. But, we each shot the shit.
Now, when they sat down and introduced themselves, did you pretend you couldn't hear them
There was no introductions.
Did Roger Daltrey swing the silverware around? Or?
He might have, yeah.
Did Pete Townsend, cut his steak with the windmill? That's all for show.
Something like that, yeah.
All right. Well, more secrets from the road with John Rutherford on a future episode.
There's a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, a future episode of ML Soul Detroit. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming today. John, anybody else we should talk to before we let the real talented cats take the stage?
I think we got everyone. I know Mark Mancusi is going to be coming in a little bit. We just did a big show with Mark at Andiamo showroom. On Saturday, had about 400 people, and we do Sinatra tribute there with my big band called the Horse and Jazz Orchestra. We do that 2 times a year, and we'll be back there. Actually, I'm not sure if we have an on-stage schedule, but I know Mark is going to come in. Mark grew up just down the street I forgot if it was Notting, 3 Mile over in Morningside, yeah.
Another great East Side neighborhood here.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank everybody for coming out. If you're here in the bar, thanks for coming out. Make sure you tip your waiters and waitresses, and come back another time. I guarantee you there'll be something way more entertaining on stage than our podcast. But
we have live bands Thursday nights through Monday nights.
Now, in the summer, are you going to do 7 nights?
No, I think we're going to keep it maybe the occasional Tuesday, but I think maybe Thursday through Monday nights.
Thursday through Monday.
Live bands.
And do you do things other nights, quizzes and stuff like that?
We have a long-running karaoke night from Wednesday night on Wednesdays. That's been going for a couple of decades. With that tradition going. Tuesday, we sometimes have a DJ spin, rare soul and funk records. Tuesday's kind of our sort of varies a little bit.
Okay. So if you want to know what's going on at the Cadieux, just go to CadieuxCafe.com. That's the best way to keep up to date with everything that John and his great team has going on. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Have a great and safe St. Patrick's Day. I know some people got an early start today. Nothing wrong with that. The only time it becomes a problem is when you drive home at 2 in the morning. If you started drinking at 2 in the afternoon, get yourself a ride home at 2 in the morning so you can celebrate Easter and not as someone hoping for a resurrection. So that's pretty much it from the East Side. John, thanks for having us out.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate
You've been
it.
listening to ML Soul Detroit. And Kalina, thank you for running the show for a while, for saving the show. And now I'm going to turn to my friend Cyrus, who no matter what happens, he's always here to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say ML looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb